Hi there, welcome to Sunday Journal. I'm Grady Culhane, and today I'm joined by a special guest from Cape Cod Community College. Do you mind introducing yourself for our
Grady,
listeners?
this is John Cox, president of Cape Cod Community College, and it's a pleasure to be here today.
Thank you so much for joining me in the studio. It's great to see you.
Thank you.
We want to get you in to talk more about how things are going at 4Cs as of late. If you want to give us a general review of this year as we're looking forward to the summer.
Things are going really well. We just wrapped up our annual commencement. Over 400 students graduated this year. We had our pinning ceremonies for our nursing graduates, our dental hygiene graduates, and our aviation maintenance technician graduates, and our funeral service graduates. Everybody getting ready to enter the profession. They're on their way to success. And as we end one academic year and we look to starting a new one, we have some new parameters that are being considered, new public policies under debate in Boston regarding the possibility of free community college for many of our students.
Now, this is a very interesting new possibility for education in general. We wanted to get the details from you specifically with this new Mass Reconnect.
Mass Reconnect
is the proposal so far. Nothing is set in stone just yet, but there's a lot that's being debated, and it seems like a lot is very positive. Do you want to do the overview?
Sure. Initially, Governor Healy and Lieutenant Governor Driscoll actually rolled out the program in March of this year, and we were invited to the rollout, and one of our students actually was one of the lead speakers to sort of really demonstrate the effect that this Mass Reconnect opportunity would have for our somewhat older students. And under the parameters in the legislation, Mass Reconnect would enable students who are 25 or older, and those that don't have a degree yet to sign up to attend the community college basically for free. The stipulation is you need to fill out the FAFSA form. This is the Federal Financial Aid form. It's a free form to fill out. It determines if you're qualified for federal financial aid, in particular the Pell Grant. It will also determine your eligibility for the Mass Grant as well. And basically, for the students who are eligible, if you receive the Mass Grant, if you receive the Pell Grant, that becomes sort of the first dollar in to paying off your tuition and fees. And then whatever remains at that point in time, Mass Reconnect would take care of that obligation. Now, we do acknowledge that this legislation is still going through the chambers in Boston. It's in conference committee, so it hasn't passed fully yet. But we also know that both houses, the Senate and the House of Representatives, are on board in supporting it. So we're highly confident that it's going to pass and it's going to be up and operational for fall semester.
Wow. So that's a lot sooner than I was expecting. It is a tremendous change if that were to go through. Do you imagine a big boost in enrollment essentially following?
I'm optimistic that we're going to see a definite impact on enrollment for those students who are eligible. Those students that they may have actually started at Cape Cod Community College or another institution. They may have stopped out. This is that opportunity to look at returning to school for either a certificate or degree program. And it really opens the door. You would need to take a minimum of 6 credits, which would be equivalent to 2 classes. But the college, we're ready to support you. We're ready to help you in not only the financial aid piece, but also in coming back to school and being successful as a student.
Now, we were discussing a little bit off microphone before we started about how it turns out that people will normally have a lot of careers throughout their life. As it turns out, recent studies have showed at least 3 careers, but many jobs. And so retraining is definitely an option that people might want to revisit. Do you want to talk about that as related to 4Cs?
I would speak for myself a little bit when I did a presentation recently for the Cape Cod Young Professionals, and before I did that, I did the walkthrough of my career path, if you will. And since college, I've been in 17 different positions, averaging 2 years and 6 months, from 1 day to 11 years and counting. So it's when we think of the career, you're really looking at this long-term commitment to lifelong learning as you take advantage of opportunities to grow in the organization you may be in, or to explore other opportunities with potentially other employers along the way. So with Mass Reconnect, this is that opportunity for those folks that are 25 or older to look at re-engaging in the possibility of coming back to school. And again, assuming you don't have a degree already, you would qualify for the free community college. If you do have a degree, the opportunity is still here. We have a very good degree, a high degree of financial aid available to our students. We encourage everyone to fill out the FAFSA form to qualify for federal aid as well as the state aid. But we are the most affordable higher education option for many people across our region, and we're here to serve.
So we've it's been a bit of an economic difficult time right now across the world, across the nation. In light of some of these things that are starting to hold the economy, supply chain issues as well as economic inflation, do you think that 4Cs and community colleges in general have I don't want to say an opportunity like it's kind of a vulture action, but something that is a silver lining? Or
I think we're in a prime spot to enable people who are interested, who have considered coming back to school, learning a new vocation, if you will, or maybe sort of testing out the market in some different subject area. We're available now. The tuition and fees are among the lowest available in higher education, and the financial aid opportunities are very substantial. And if you look at the courses, the programs that we offer between our credit and our non-credit through the Center for Corporate and Professional Education, there are a lot of opportunities to explore. You can get the quick overview at capecod.edu on our website and do a little bit of exploring there. And you can reach out to our folks at our admissions office for some additional guidance.
All right, awesome. So as well, we wanted to discuss about some of the new initiatives, new programs going on at 4Cs, particularly something near and dear to my heart is the aviation program. I cut my teeth on reporting on that when it first started a few years ago, and I'm an alumni of 4Cs myself. I have to fully disclose. So it's exciting to see the changes that have happened there. Can you elaborate for me?
It's very exciting to see the changes and to see the number of students who have graduated from the program and where they are professionally today. We are in the midst of rolling out a new program in avionics. And avionics is, when you think of the electronics in the cockpit, it's pretty much that theme. That's the area that we're doing the education around, the technology that's sitting in the cockpit. And this is adding on to the program that we already offer in aviation maintenance technology, which surrounds the airframe, which is basically the body of the aircraft, if you will, and the power plant, which is basically the engine and the propulsion system to keep the plane moving forward in the air and overcoming all those other tendencies to want to bring the plane down to the ground. So this is sort of the natural progression, if you will, adding on the avionics. We have also recently been approved by the FAA to expand the number of students that we can have in the program to 245. So we're looking at continued growth opportunity, and the market has been extremely favorable for our graduates, getting good jobs, paying substantial incomes with professional growth opportunities. So definitely a winner.
Awesome. We discussed a little bit off mic about this as well, but we touched on the electrification of the transportation industry in general, and it's very interesting to know how plugged in you are on this, paying attention for the aviation program.
How plugged in we are.
How
there
plugged
you go.
in.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, we'll be here all week.
We're a very strong partner with Cape Air, and Cape Air has been on the leading edge in looking at the electrification, the battery propulsion system, the EV system, if you will, for commuter aircraft. And it's still, the development is in process, so we're looking at a few years. But, in addition to overcoming the weight issue that you have when you're putting these batteries into the aircraft.
Mm-hmm.
You also have the issue if you're doing, some short-range commuter flights. You need the ability to recharge the aircraft when you land, and hopefully in a pretty quick time fashion. So there's the issues surrounding not only the aircraft and how you build around the extra weight and the extra configuration when you change that propulsion system,
Mm-hmm.
but also when you land, do you have the infrastructure, whether it's at the Hyannis location or whether you're landing in Nantucket or the Vineyard, do you have the capability to do a fast charge on some of those aircraft that are
Mm-hmm.
there so they can be turned around pretty quickly? So there's a lot of nuances when we think of how we're changing the technology and how aircraft work, and it's not all about just the aircraft, but there's so many other pieces of the infrastructure that we have to consider, and they present opportunities in terms of some of the training that we offer.
Mm-hmm. It's very interesting that a lot of developments as of late happening on Cape. I never would have thought, but it turns out we have a tremendous opportunity with offshore wind, electrification there. But Cape Cod as a power supplier is certainly a unique idea. But where do you think Four Seas falls in terms of the future of this profession of workplace for offshore wind or in general?
As we look at offshore wind and recognizing that the major jump-off point for the construction is out of the port of New Bedford, and our partner, Bristol Community College, is taking the lead on some of the training and education around the actual construction and the trades connected with building the platforms in the ocean. We're looking at our role as sort of the support infrastructure, the back office support, the accounting that would go along with running the operation, and also a bit of the turbine maintenance training that we have connected through the aviation maintenance technology that we offer.
It's interesting to hear about the overlaps. Essentially, it's very
there is some technology along the way that has some really strong links that crosses over different fields.
Mm-hmm. So for those of you just joining us, I just want to say this is Grady Culhane. This is Sunday Journal. Thank you so much. I'm joined today by Cape Cod Community College President John Cox, and we want to thank him for being in studio to join us for this conversation.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure.
We also wanted to touch on the brand new science building with the groundbreaking technology, the toilet of the future, and we say that
yes.
partially in jest, but in all seriousness, as you brought up before. Wastewater is a tremendous issue for the Cape and Islands region. So it is
our claim to fame, so to speak. The Frank and Maureen Wilkins Science and Engineering Building actually went live. We opened in August of 2022. So we've gone through an entire academic year now. It is a net carbon negative facility, so we're doing our part to really drive home the notion of how we're more environmentally sustainable. Mm-hmm. The other piece I would mention is that as we've seen the new center in use, it sort of has driven a new energy. It's literally the center of campus now. The landscaping has recently been completed around the building, so it really fits in nicely in the lay of the land, but it's brought a new energy among the students, the faculty, and the staff that are utilizing the facility, both in terms of the labs that are there, and yes, the toilet of the future, which to just do the quick overview, the Gates Foundation did a global competition back in 2012 called Reinvent the Toilet. And the notion there was that the technology behind the toilet really hasn't changed much for a long, long time. So they were looking at what can we do to apply technology to really mitigate some of the problems we have with the wastewater stream. So they had the competition. The winning proposal came out of Caltech, the California Institute of Technology, where they developed a closed-loop electrolysis treatment system to treat the waste. It mitigates the nitrogen in the waste. It reduces the volume of the solids, and you can recirculate the gray water. We we continued to have a discussion with the folks at Caltech for a few years. They actually would build out these toilet systems in modular shipping containers.
Mm-hmm.
They would go to India. They would open them up, pop up the solar panel, and they would be live, and people could use them. They sent them out to a lot of the rural schools where they didn't have the
Wow.
the bathroom facilities. So as we learned more, we had the discussion with the folks at Caltech as we were going into the design phase for the new Science and Engineering Center.
Mm-hmm.
And we were able to work through the state, get the Commonwealth's approval to run this this program as sort of a pilot program where we became the first commercial application of this closed-loop technology in North America. It was installed in the new Science and Engineering Center. We're continuing to monitor it. We have a year, just about a year under our belt now of experience that we've learned from. And now we're sharing that not only with the folks at Caltech, but for the possibility that other people may be able to utilize this technology, and we can train them on this as well.
Mm-hmm.
In addition, it becomes a learning tool, a lab component, if you will, for students in some of the programs at the college. And it's the treatment actually sits behind a window in the building, so you can see what the waste is cycling through.
Mm-hmm.
You don't actually see the waste, but you can see the layout of the hardware.
Mm-hmm. We don't shy away from science on Sunday Journal.
Well, there you go.
But
it's real. It's the real deal.
the real deal. It is fascinating, and also I guess it speaks as well to the use of the science. It's a truly science building if every single portion is.
It really is. And when we had the discussion, when we were doing the design, one of the questions that came up and the concerns, we realized that wastewater is a critical issue on Cape Cod.
Mm-hmm.
And it was through the faculty discussion, it was an exploration of what options do we have available. Are there other items that we could integrate into this building to maybe look at other treatment capacities so that we don't necessarily have to build a sewer line everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're doing. We're presenting an option that seems viable. It's been tested for a while, and now we're looking at its commercial application in a science building. So it's a great teaching and learning tool, and hopefully we'll see some additional commercial applications in the future.
Awesome. That's fantastic. Is that conversation ongoing when it comes to the Wilkins Science Center of ways you can incorporate new and emerging technology?
It actually is. We've had some discussions not only on the wastewater side and to a certain extent even on the EV and aircraft has been related to that.
Mm-hmm.
We've also sort of as a side note, we've had a discussion about the Tesla EV as a hearse in part of our funeral service program.
I see.
So it's and there are some companies out there that have already done that conversion. So we're looking at, again, how do we apply some of the different teachings, the different subjects that we're covering? Is there a way to sort of integrate them around some common themes? And that's a discussion we're having that we'll see what it leads to. But
very interesting.
Education can be pretty exciting at times.
That is great. That is awesome. Making it involved. This is more of a cultural question, really. But do you think it's important to have some of these long-term goals, these developments onto campus to be an attraction point, essentially, or to boost motivation with the staff?
I absolutely is the short answer, and I think when we look at how we're trying to position the institution to be a leader as a center of higher education, but also how to be a leader in terms of the economic development, the economic mobility, the social mobility of the community.
Mm-hmm.
How can we integrate all those common themes while also realizing our commitment to racial equity moving forward? It's really what are the aspects out there where we can come together as creative minds and look at adapting our knowledge with the learning opportunities to move the institution and the community forward. So creativity is definitely a substantial portion of what we want to do, continue to do as we seek to educate our community.
Mm-hmm. That is as well. We have a bit of a change. Speaking of emerging technology and trying to keep up with the times, you'll have this new HighFlex program for classes. Do you want to elaborate more?
HighFlex is it's an interesting technology. We basically, as you think back over the pandemic, and we had that virtual overnight shift from people attending class face-to-face in the classroom to suddenly, guess what? The world is online. We adapted the technology over time. Instead of having everything exclusively on time asynchronously, which means basically that other people aren't necessarily in the classroom at the same time. You can go on when it's convenient to you, and you don't necessarily have the instantaneous feedback. Rather than that approach, we've taken the HighFlex approach, which enables our students, based on their schedule for the week, if the class has the HighFlex option and you're the student and you have a commitment, you can't make it to class on a given day, there's a family issue, people may be ill at home, you're taking care of your children, you have the ability to log in remotely through a Zoom connection. We have a very large, we call it a D10 hardware piece in the classroom that has the state-of-the-art microphones and the camera that enable you to actually see and hear the speakers in the classroom. So whoever's speaking at the time, they become the target of the camera, if you will, in the classroom. And your face is up on the big board in the classroom so that the students in the classroom can see you as well. So it's very close to the reality of being there in the classroom, taking advantage of the learning that's going on, but also acknowledging that sometimes in the day-to-day lives that we lead, we don't always have that opportunity to physically be there. So this enables you to continue on with your education, and we adapt to your immediate need.
Now, is this something that you think is going to help boost enrollment, not just because of the fact that, or rather, I suppose, retention, because a lot of people can maybe fall behind in classes?
Absolutely. And I think what we have been seeing of late is that we have classes where attendance levels have now hit the 100% mark, which is pretty rare when you look at the history, because usually people would be out because they're sick or they're late coming back from work or something. But now with this ability with HighFlex, you have the ability to get to the classroom. And as we look at where we are as a society and how technology is so well embedded in just about everything we do, you will see this as a fundamental piece of who we are at the college going forward, that HighFlex is here to stay. These options are here to stay because we recognize when we're attempting to meet the students where they are, understanding their demands, this becomes a game changer in their ability to continue their education.
That is great to hear. I know of I had a few friends that would become overwhelmed, and then they felt like, oh, well, there's no way I can catch up at this point just because I've missed so many classes.
This enables you to stay connected the whole time.
As well, this is something that also, elsewhere happening later in this year is going to be the expiration of student loan debt policy changes, essentially.
Yeah, big change.
This is going to be more of a crystal ball kind of question at this point, but I wanted to get your thoughts from the business standpoint, the education standpoint. How will that impact the sector?
Well, this would be with the latest movement in Congress to ensure that the government still has money to operate. As part of that compromise, the end of the student loan repayment freeze will stop, and as of September, people that have student loans are going to have to begin to make payments on those loans. And when we have that big picture out there of $1.7 trillion in student loan debt, and just hearing the notion that that's equivalent to $5 billion of loan payments every month. That's going to be a serious impact on the economy that, over the past 3 years with this timeout in the loan repayment schedule, I think a lot of people have not always thought about, it's going to start up at some point, and you become sort of comfortable with the lifestyle when you're not making these loan payments, and then all of a sudden, bam, here they are again. So I suspect we're going to see some pressure on many households across this country with the start of the student loan payments. And I'm optimistic that this will still enable people to be energized to look at the community colleges as a strong possibility to continue their education. And, there are a lot of people out there that have started programs. They have student loan debt, and they never finish. They never graduated. And for those folks that are especially 25 and above, I would say come back and look at us in terms of the possibility of moving forward, getting credit for the prior learning, and then taking advantage of the Mass Reconnect so that you can have the free community college to move forward and complete that degree. I think that opportunity will be there for many people. And for the younger folks, we're here. We are among the most affordable institutions around, and we have substantial financial aid available to minimize your need to borrow money.
Thank you so much for joining me for this conversation today. I'm afraid
it's my pleasure.
About time at this point, but I'd love to. Is there anything else you wanted our listeners to know about while I still have you?
No, I would just say, continue to seek out Cape Cod Community College. That's capecod.edu. We are rolling out new programs. There's a data analytics program that's rolling out within the business department. And there's, as we move forward, continue to watch the opportunities for free community college as that expands, and then also look at us as your pathway to lifelong learning in the community, because we are here ultimately to support you and to support your success.
President Cox, thank you so much for joining me for this conversation.
Grady, a pleasure. Thank you.
I'm Grady Culhane, and this has been Sunday Journal.